Hello, ladies and gents. Today, I've got the absolute pleasure of speaking to you about my favourite philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche. I'm going to be reading an extract, a very brief one, which is best with Friedrich Nietzsche, from his book Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Friedrich Nietzsche is considered by many people to be the cornerstone to modern Western philosophy. The German philosopher living in the 19th century, and basically throughout his entire life received no fame, no renown, many criticisms, yet persisted in his act. And he believed that what he was pursuing would inevitably add value to society, culture, and be worthwhile. And not many people could enjoy an entire lifetime of being told you're a failure, your pursuits are pointless, irrelevant even. Not many people could endure that. And he did, and he is now the cornerstone of Western philosophy. And just to put that into context, to really put it into perspective, right? Have you ever heard or said to anyone, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? Well, you've probably heard plenty of people saying this, and certainly many people who aren't philosophers saying it too. And to the best of my knowledge, pretty much no one seems to actually know where that has originated from, or at least mentions so. Well, it turns out, Friedrich Nietzsche, he wrote it to begin with, and it is now so commonplace in our society and culture that we don't even remember the name, we just know the phrase. And on that note, let's jump right into this. The God who saw everything, even man, this God had to die. Man cannot endure that such a witness should live. For spoke the ugliest man. Zarathustra, however, rose and prepared to go, where he was chilled to his very marrow. Now, with Nietzsche's philosophy, there's an understanding of the yin and yang component, this angel on the shoulder, the devil on the shoulder, good and evil, that kind of aspect. And the ugliest man is one of the archetypes of the devil on the shoulder, in this case, of evil, of chaos. And to explain a little bit the qualities of the ugliest man is a proactive betrayal of themselves. They do not do the work that they know is right and that they should do. They instead do the opposite. They don't do that work, or worse yet, they do what is purposely harmful to their motivations and their meaning of their life. On the flip side, you have the higher man, and greater than the higher man is the Superman. The higher man has a few different components. One of them is their kind of unshakable center of individuality, of character. So when they receive criticisms, they're fixed in against it. They're going to listen, if it's worth listening to, and they'll pay attention to those criticisms and look to see if they're valid and will integrate them accordingly into their character. But they will not receive criticism and as a consequence give up their pursuits. They get told their writing isn't as good as it could be. They get told, why bother being a writer? Just get a 9-to-5 job. You're not going to be able to do it. The higher man would not pay any attention to that and would continue trying to perfect their arts and move towards their goals. And you can probably see how Nietzsche contained that quality within himself, having spent his entire life being considered a failure among many individuals. But he didn't allow that to bother him. He kept on pushing forwards. Now, why does he say that God had to die? Man could not endure that such a witness should live. That is what the Ugliest Man says. The logic behind that is that before man becomes Ugliest Man, there is an initial choice to either do what is good and right for the individual or what is self-destructive and wrong for the individual. The centered individual makes a conscious decision that he does not want to conduct himself with the rigorous exercise of what it entails to become the higher man. Because to become the higher man is like trying to get a six-pack. There is exercise to be done to train the body. There is pain that you must put yourself through to eventually achieve that reward. And hopefully on the journey, you end up enjoying the hardship. You actually learn to love the pain in that case. But there are many people that know that to be healthy is good, and to be healthy you must exercise, and their life will improve as a consequence. Yet they don't. They don't do any exercise. That's because there's an initial barrier to entry. There is resistance there that the individual must pass through that wall to then start making some gains. Many people are too anxious or scared of that barrier. So in that case, they decide to do nothing. But doing nothing is a choice. You're choosing to do nothing, which as a consequence is negative towards the progress of your character. And worse yet, not only may you do nothing at all, which still isn't good, it's not even neutral, it is still naturally self-destructive to yourself. There are times when you may do things rather than do nothing, or rather than doing the actual exercise involved, you decide to refer onto your bad habits. So instead of doing that exercise, you do nothing. As a consequence of doing nothing, you harbour this internal feeling of guilt and shame, which brings your mood down further. And as a consequence, you then look around you to see what may lift you out of this negative mood. You've already decided that you're not going to exercise, so instead you open that tub of ice cream and demolish it over, and then pop out to get another ice cream, to then proceed to demolish. So there's a gradual slip. If you don't push through that barrier, that resistance, you inevitably, gradually slip further and further into your personal chaos, your personal hell. And when you find yourself there, you begin to take on the form of the ugliest man. You have, in that journey, betrayed yourself. You consciously chose to do something that wasn't good for you, then consciously decided to do something that is destructive to your end goals that you would like to manifest into reality, being have a six-pack in this case. You have fell all the way into that chaos, becoming the ugliest man, and in that process you feel guilt and shame because you know that it could have been very different. The only person to blame for where you are today is you and no one else, because it is only you that gets to make your decisions within your own mind. And in that process, there have been multiple times of you choosing to do not nothing, but what is actually bad for you. So imagine that shame, that guilt. You feel dirty, exposed. The idea that there's an all-knowing and all-seeing God, that even if you hide your betrayals against yourself from strangers, from the world, even from yourself, there is still one judge who is not fooled by your eloquent deception and is very much aware of the sins that you had committed against yourself. And that, in this case, is why the ugliest man says that man could not endure such a witness as God, who is all knowing and all seeing. Besides talking about Friedrich Nietzsche, which I love to do, I thought this would be good for the new year. It's the end of 2020. We're coming into the new year. A lot of people make vows to themselves to become greater than they were the previous year, which is extremely admirable. Yet many people will fall from their horse and will never mount it again. And there's other people who will fall from that horse, from that exercise that they're doing, and may bring pause to their progress, but will get back up and will continue trying and pushing forwards. I respect that mentality, those kind of people, because there's something to be said about persistence and how it can manifest dreams into reality through just the sheer will of your persistence to make it a reality. Can be a really powerful fuel. There will be other people that will stick to their new year resolution and won't fall from the races. And to them, wow, I'm surprised, because we all have stumbles. Really, the art and progress isn't not stumbling, but regaining balance. And I hope going into the new year, many of you will strive to become greater than you were and to manifest your dreams and ambitions, desires in reality. I want you to become more of who you are as a character, as a individual, and to progress as a a human being who is better able and capable of handling a whole array of crises, whether personal, business, whatever it may be. I want you to be successful at becoming an individual with strength of willpower. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart, that I do hope that you achieve everything that is congruent to you becoming who you are meant to be, who you want to be. And on that note, Happy New Year, everybody.